Hello Namibia, and welcome to yet another episode of the Campfire series. My name is Absai Haidua. I'm joined by Helena Arendo for our sign language interpreter. Thank you for joining us tonight. Tonight we are joined by Martin Wilkinson, a senior expert at Provet. Provet means Industry Cooperation Promotion of Vocational Education and Training. And we are very excited to hear what he's going to share with us tonight. Thank you, Martin, and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. And your fire is nice and warm.
Right. Before we start, you see we in the difficult times of COVID-19, we are practicing our social distance and we have sanitized our hands so we can safely remove our masks. All right. Tonight we will discuss a very important point, and I hope you have your notebook with you to take some notes from this show, because tonight is the night that we're going to learn from Martin. Our topic for tonight, or in fact we'll discuss why planning a business or having a business plan should be your baby and no one else should write it for you. So, Martin, I just want to quickly, please give us an introduction of who is Martin.
Okay. Mm-hmm. My name is Martin Wilkinson, and I came to Namibia in 1997 as a volunteer. My background is engineering. Yeah. So I worked in Rundu for a project that made village water pumps, amongst other things. And that I didn't know at the time, but when I got there, I was basically running that project as a business. Yeah. I had to earn my own allowance, I had to pay staff, and I had to buy and sell materials. So that kind of threw me in at the deep end of running a small business. And then I've run some other projects over the years, and basically I stayed in Rundu because it's very beautiful. Yeah, it's and then I started my own business, renting marquee tents and event management, basically. And that lasted about 13 years. So as a very small business, we grew and grew. We became quite popular in the region and even outside of the Kavango region. So I hope the viewers will agree that I've got quite a lot of experience in running a small business, especially. Yeah. And also, later on, I worked in other projects where I mentored small businesses. So we helped people write business plans. Yeah. And what came out of that was that people will like to have an idea. Let's say it's a salon, or they're going to bake wedding cakes, and they find somebody to write it for them, and they hardly do any research, and they don't really know. They just think it's a good idea to start baking cakes, but they didn't know anything about how the business is going to run. Yeah.
Great. So that must have been a very exciting journey of how you started and how you got into mentoring and helping people or small businesses how to start their journeys.
I hope so, and I hope if there's some of our previous mentorees watching, they can send a message whether Martin taught them anything at all. I don't know if that's inviting some danger, but we'll see. Yeah. Putting a business plan requires entrepreneurs to ask themselves a lot of hard questions and take time to come up with well-researched, insightful answers. While a business plan have many purposes, the primary importance of a business plan is that they help to have a clear vision to understand what the viable of the business, or the business viability. So tonight we are very lucky to have Martin here in the show that will discuss or give us insight on really how to start up writing up your business plan. So to dive into it, Martin, maybe you can share with us what are those first points, or what are those first things that you need to have or to come up with to write a business plan. Okay. I think for the first point is that when you are looking to start a business, I think it's been said on previous Campfire sessions as well, that you need to have a passion for something.
Yeah.
You need to be interested in the thing that you're going to start the business with and have some knowledge of it. But that doesn't mean to say that your business is going to be viable if you haven't written the plan and you haven't thought it through. And it could be, and I wanted to stress it, it could be that you have to write 10 business plans, maybe about the same thing or maybe about a number of different businesses, and you might throw them away sometimes. It might not always be a smooth journey from writing a business plan to trotting off to the bank manager to getting some money and then starting. So just prepare yourself mentally that the reason why you're creating the plan is to find the pitfalls, to the tripwires, the things that are going to make the business fail. And maybe if your business plan fails, to get written or to get completed, that's an indication that your business isn't the best idea at the moment. So having said that, as a kind of a background, we've got a number of things that makes your business plan a happy baby, because it's your baby. That's our theme this evening, is the fact that you shouldn't really allow somebody to write it completely. You can give them ideas, but the business will be your baby, and the plan is basically the start of your growing your baby. So let's say 8 things to have a happy baby is, and I'll say also that these aren't my things. You can Google 1,000 different websites and find how to write a business plan. But they're headings of them, let's say.
So please, I hope you have your notepad or notebook right next to you to take out these very important points that Martin will share with us tonight.
Okay, so the first one we'll come back to, which doesn't really make sense, but is the executive summary. But an executive summary is written for somebody who's going to be supporting you, whether it's the bank manager, whether it's your parents, whether it's other partners, but they need to get interested very quickly. So it needs to be exciting, original, should be a bit of fun. I think anyway, all of business ideas should be fun, unless maybe you're running an undertaker or something, then you have to be a bit more serious. But try and keep it interesting and fun, and let's say the executive summary will talk about risk and keep the risk low at first, but it should catch the interest of the reader. So having said that, the executive summary will be a summary of the following points. So first you need your kind of concept, what's going to be your business. You can describe that, and you can describe the company structure. Do you have a product, or is it a service that you're going to deliver? Is it unique? Does it have a gap? Start with your company description. What's it going to be doing? Is it cheaper than something that exists already? Are you going to improve the quality? Are you going to create a luxury product? Like there's lots of soap, but are you going to make a luxury soap? Or something like that. So you've got the company description already starting to develop in your head, and you're putting that down on the paper, and you also want to know how you're going to scale it. You might make 10 bars of soap a day, and that's enough, but then how do you open your factory and make 1,000 bars of soap a day?
Because that's the idea to grow your business.
So that leads you then to your market analysis, and that's basically what you can have in your notebook, is to write down market analysis. Who are going to be your customers? Who are your customers? Where are you going to operate? Did you do some research with respect to how your market is going to be accepted? Did you sit at an intersection and write all the numbers of cars that go past, if that's something to do with your business? Did you sit at a certain corner and see how many people walk past? If you're going to open a coffee shop, then you need to count the footfall, as they say. So looking at the market that you're going to enter into is very important, because without that analysis you don't know how much you're going to sell of something, or who your customers are going to be, and if you're going to survive at all. The next part, of course, then is who you're going to be competing against. It's probably pretty unlikely that you're going to invent a brand new idea. If you do, then it's fantastic, and you don't have any competition.
Yeah.
In fact, in Rundu, when I opened up the tent business,
Yeah.
we didn't have any competition. Everybody used to go to the army base and borrow tents.
Oh.
And they're a bit like dark, and they're old and green, and they're not very exciting if you're having a baptism or a wedding. So that was my niche. I didn't have any competition for about 3 or 4 years.
Oh, wow, that was nice.
So at least then we knew the competitive analysis was very, very easy because there was no competition. But if you're going to be competing with somebody, then you need to know who they are, how they're priced, how are they succeeding, how are you going to do better, and how are you going to cost your product against that competitive or that competitor, and are you still going to make money? You can stop me, Absai, if you have questions, or I can just keep going through the list for now.
Yeah, you can carry on.
Then you can say, after you've established your market and who you're going to be competing with, you've got an idea of costs, but we come on to that a bit more in a minute. What's going to be the structure? It could be that you're very creative. You have all the passion for sewing, but you know nothing about finance.
Yeah.
Do you need to team up now with somebody who's more of a financial person? Or do you want to go it alone? I don't recommend going it alone if you know nothing about finance. I learned that myself. Yeah. And I think we're both still learning about that.
That's true. Now, I wanted to just ask you there quickly where you said you need to have to partner up. I have, like you said, I know about sewing, but I don't have the financial background. Do you suggest I go for an established auditing company maybe to help me with that, or any other financial assistance, or not financial assistance, but any other financial any other financial professional to help me on that, or I can just pick someone? How do you suggest? How do you advise on that?
I think it depends on the scale. If you're going to start very small, then probably somebody who's good at accounting or is even studying accounting or whatever can help and keep your fees low. They might even do it for nothing because it's kind of like a practical advice, or it's their practice.
Yeah.
But if you're going to borrow $5 million and start something huge, then you would factor in the costs of a financial advisor for that.
Oh, yes.
Because you don't want that 5 million to go missing.
Yes,
and it shouldn't go with him either.
Okay.
So I think it's all about the scale. If you can afford somebody that's professional, then probably that's the best route. But if you're looking to keep your costs down and your activity is quite low cost as well at the beginning, you're not generating huge amounts of invoices, then you would then choose a slightly more cost-effective person.
Great. Well, that's good to know.
All right, and then in terms of the structure of the team that you're going to build, I would be very amiss, and my colleagues at NTA, Namibia Training Authority, wouldn't appreciate me not mentioning that when you're hiring, are you hiring unskilled people? Are you hiring skilled people to do a job? Are you hiring the people that have been qualified in clothing production if that's your business? Or how are you going to team up?
Okay.
Because you need somebody to help you. You'll fry yourself if you try and do everything alone. And your employees need to have a skill set. So you should identify that, and that needs to go into your business plan. I'm going to hire these people, and that's where your finance comes later, because you need to know how much you're going to be paying them.
Yeah. Sorry, just to take you there, hiring the right people for my business. Do I need to what do I need, or how do I find, or how can I find the right people, or does that depend on the business model?
Yeah, well, you create a job description, and I'll keep saying it, that's why you're writing a business plan, because you're identifying the posts that you might need. Identifying the posts indicates the development of a job description. Then you can see if that's your little brother or whether it's somebody you need to hire. Then you'll know whether to advertise, or you'll know whether to maybe poach somebody from another company. Let's not say poach. Head hunting, yes. If you can afford to make them a better offer that they can't refuse. But you need to look around your network, and you need to keep networking, and you need to keep finding people that have those skill sets.
Great.
Of course, you can go to, if it's something practical, like you're starting woodwork or construction or clothing production, you can go to your VTCs or private training providers, whoever it might be, and they'll say, you know what, Absai, he graduated last year, he didn't find work yet, but he was our top student. So if you're looking to hire young people, the places where they trained and where they graduated from is a good start.
That is
to
very
source
important.
People.
Yeah, that is very important to share, really.
And then under the structure as well, there's I know you have guests coming later from BPER about registering your business and whether you should register for tax. Yeah. I know.
Oh yes, please.
I know now to set the cat among the pigeons a bit, because when I started my business, we registered for tax very early, and the business doesn't take off that quickly. So you start getting into a situation where you're always reporting to the tax man, but you really haven't made much money, and it's a burden. So I would say, and maybe your colleagues later in the next shows can say, should you start immediately registering for tax, or should you wait until it gains some momentum and you've got some consistency? And I would say that's what you should do. Focus on your business, focus on marketing, focusing on your quality of your product. Once you've got some consistency and you've got some income, then you can say, right, now I'm ready to pay some taxes and register myself and have an identity. Because it's very difficult to unregister yourself from a tax situation. That's my main point in that respect. Unwinding a company is quite is difficult, and every time you go to the revenue office, it's like they're pulling the handle on a jackpot. There's a different number every time you go there, and you never seem to get clear of them. So 6 months or so, get your business running, and then present yourself to the tax man, ask what's the procedures, what you should do, and then you can go straight ahead. In other terms of let's say a closed corporation or a sole trader, you'll still need a defensive name, and the defensive name is the name of your business that's catchy, memorable, starts to be your branding, which I'll come on to. But once you've registered a defensive name, it can't be used by somebody else. And you can't become Coca-Cola, by the way, because then they'll sue you for that 5 million. But at the end of the day, you need something that's going to be unique, and BPER are the people in charge of checking all the records and seeing if there isn't a company like that exists already. So you still need that in the beginning, but your kind of tax profile, you can start to build it up a little bit later.
Great.
But I'm not saying don't pay your taxes. I'm not saying that. Okay?
Yes. Oh, thanks for making that very clear. But still, to just go back to that point again, I have an idea and I want to start that business, but like you said on tax, and I know I'm not gonna make money for the next for the upcoming months, maybe the next 6 months or so. I know it's gonna be me finding my feet in the market. So do you, at registering a business, I want to ask now, what is the difference? How should a business be registered? How should I register my business if I don't have to go for tax in the first go?
Yeah, I think it's like I said, you can do the defensive name part. You can choose your status, whether it's a closed corporation or a sole trader. You need to understand the different legalities of that, which I won't go into because otherwise your next speaker next week won't have much to talk about.
I'm sure he will.
And those two things, and whatever the BPER person also recommends later. Let's say you need a premises, you might need a fitness certificate from the municipality, and you might also need a certain number of criteria. Let's say you want to tender for something, and a government tender or maybe a training authority or whatever, they would say you need to be registered for social security, you need to have your municipality certificates, you need to be a legal entity. So those things you need to investigate yourself. I think there are so many different business ideas out there. I might say the wrong information in saying you only need these things. Go and look for, like, obviously if you're making wedding cakes, as we use that example, there's health and hygiene to be involved in there. There might be an inspector that comes along. But if you're making bricks, you don't need to be as healthy, although there's health and safety, of course. But you don't need a hygiene inspector for the recipe of your bricks, unless they're very tasty, I guess. So, yeah, I think those first criteria you can look into, but the tax story I'm just reiterating, and I'm glad I saw at the bottom of the screen, Mercy, one of your first guests, she agrees with me.
Oh.
That's validation, I can tell you. So that's my main point, is you can get caught up in a whole tax sort of mess before you've even started focusing on your business.
Okay.
All right, then, sorry?
Yeah, no, sorry. I just want to go to the next,
okay.
The next point. Yeah.
So the next one is marketing and sales. So in marketing, you need to, okay, let me go backwards. You need to create a brand, and you do that. A brand is how you're recognizable. My brand in Rundu was Intense Namibia, because we rented tents, and it's intense, like it's a bit of a play on words.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that was written very large. Now I sound like Donald Trump. It was written very bigly above our shop. And this is where you start laughing, isn't it, Apsai? Because what do you do with tents? You erect them, okay? So you put up a tent, it's called erecting the tent. So at Intense, we had the best erections in the region. And that made everybody laugh. You see, even people in the studio are laughing already.
I'm sorry.
And then
we're really just having fun.
And then everybody started talking about that. Some of our local lodges used to use a screensaver of ours, which was Intense, and it had some pictures of all the different tents, and it said Intense Erections, and then everyone was pointing at the screen and talking about our business. And you can't get better advertising than people talking about something and laughing, okay? So on the side of the backy also, we had the best erections in the region. We get it up and we don't let you down. So it's all tent related, okay? And event management. But that was our brand, and it's important to kind of think along those lines. How do other companies do it?
Yeah.
Obviously, we all know Coca-Cola, we all know Namibia breweries.
Yeah.
We know, let's say, a posh shop in London is Harrods, because I'm seeing a bag down there that's Harrods.
Oh.
So creating a brand is important, and you do that with your advertising, with your logos, so it's immediately recognizable. Everybody knows the ribbon or the whoosh of Nike.
Yeah, true.
And try and concentrate on that. And then maybe some slogans, like I said.
Yeah. Yeah.
We get it up and we don't let you down. I hope that's
very, very important.
You know, I sold the business to a local guy, Gerard Hamatenya. I hope he's watching, and I hope it's still doing well. But I hope he's still using the same branding. I'm sure he is.
Yeah.
And then, so we've said about having a bit of fun with the name, relative to what you're doing. You might not want to be so funny if you're an accountant or you're actually doing tax returns for people. You might want to be a bit serious. But at the end of the day, if you've got some product that's lively and colourful, then add some fun into it as well. And you also want to have some fun running a business. It shouldn't be drudgery.
Yeah, it should be fun and exciting. It's a journey.
And then coming to sales, because I said marketing and sales, that's now written in your notebook about branding and logos, but the advice also is about how do you allow customers to pay for your product? Are you going to allow credit?
Yeah.
Because it's so tempting at the beginning to give your product away and wait for somebody to pay. And lots of people will always ask for that.
Yeah.
And in Kwangali we'll say Kwato Mokongo, like there's no credit. I don't know what it is in Oshivambo, but basically...
I don't want to translate, but I think I get what it means.
But it basically means no credit.
Yeah.
And we were lucky in our businesses that we didn't really have to, we could survive by not allowing people to have credit.
Yeah.
But try and avoid it. If somebody can't buy that wedding cake before it's actually made, and especially eaten, how do you repossess an eaten wedding cake? You can repossess a car, but wedding cakes are pretty tricky to repossess, isn't it?
Yeah,
so get your money up front as much as you can.
Yeah. So depending on the type of product, you have to now also structure your pricing. Do people pay upfront? Do people pay later? Or it really depends on the type of business you're doing. Great. That's excellent.
And paying later is never good. I know we all do it. We all get things on credit. But if it's the other way around and it's your product, then you start stressing at night whether that dude is ever going to pay. And it's not, it takes the fun out of the business.
You start chasing each other around. Like, where's my
Exactly.
money?
So now we've spoken about the fun part, but this is the serious part, is basically your financial planning.
Yeah.
There's a lot to do, and you might not put it all, let's say, in your business plan as a chapter, but you can have your Excel sheets in annexes at the back, let's say, that anybody reviewing the business plan can see that you've done your sums. And you need to know the cost of your production, if it's producing something. You need to unpack all of those individual costs. You need to know how much you want to pay yourself. Do I work for $20 an hour? Do I work for $200 an hour? If I work for $200 an hour and I translate that into my product, am I ever going to sell the product? Is it going to be too expensive? And that's why I said earlier, that's where your business plan can fall apart, because I know I used to do welding as well, and that was part of one of our businesses, was welding and fabrication, and I would make a security door gate for $700. But I know a guy next door would say, "Ish, that Shurumbu's getting $700, let me make it for $500." But I know he couldn't make a profit, because when you add in your time and the materials and the depreciation, let's say, in the tools and equipment that you're using, you're not making a profit. You're spending $500 over 2 or 3 weeks, then you get $500 back and you think it's in your pocket, but it already left.
It already left.
So the cost of sales, the cost of your running your business, your rent, your overheads, so those are divided. Most of you know already, I'm sure your viewers know a little bit about business, that there's fixed costs and there's variable costs. So your fixed costs are renting this building. It's never going to change, however busy you are. But variable costs are all your materials. So I know the cost of one security gate, but then if I have an order for 100 security gates, do I need to go to Pukovitz now, get my steel on credit, and then how do I pay that back later? Do I get all the invoices in? Do I pay it back? So those are variable costs. The costs of your activity increase as you become more busy.
Does that mean then I have to charge more, or how can I then make sure that I'm still making profit?
Yeah, that's in your financial plan,
Okay, great.
If
so
we want to talk about that, you'll have to invite me back for another hour session, because you devote the financial side of things. But what I have in my notes here, because otherwise I'll forget, is basically your break-even analysis as well. And that sounds like a big calculating story, but at the end of the day, you can put your fixed costs across a chart and your variable costs as you, in fact, that answers your question, how do I know what to charge, or how do I start making money? Basically, where your variable costs and your fixed costs start to cross, you get a triangle in the top right-hand corner of that chart, and that's where you're starting to make money.
Okay.
So you need to know that the number of items you're producing, or the number of invoices you're generating. Let's say you're a consultant for something and you're not even producing something, you're just utilizing your brain to solve other people's problems. Then you need to know how many invoices you're getting, how much did all your petrol cost, how much was the licensing of Microsoft or whatever for your computer programs, and then are those escalating as you get busier and busier. So you can Google how to or search anywhere or whatever textbooks to do a break-even analysis, but it's very important to have that. The bank manager will look at that immediately. He'll go through your executive summary, and then he'll look for the numbers, and then he'll find the numbers, and then he'll say, but you're only going to break even in like 5 years' time after you've had 2,000 guests in your lodge. And how am I going to even see my money back? So it's very important to have that timing worked out. That's the navigation of your business, is when you start to see money coming back in, and how you're going to afford what you're paying to go out.
Okay, I just want to quickly take you back there again. If, for example, I see in my business plan something is not right anymore, or something doesn't work for the business anymore, am I still, is it possible to change? Can I change my business plan as I is I go on with the operation.
It's a good point, actually. Yeah. For sure, everything will change. As far as I'm aware of running small businesses, the market changes, you find new niches. You've found a niche in your marketplace already, but then you find a niche within a niche, and you might start specializing, and then that takes your business in a different direction. So for sure, you write your business plan, this is how you've got the vision, you close your eyes, everything is working, the people are coming into the shop, you can see the money in the till, but if you go in a certain direction, then clearly that's the way to go if it feels right. But let's say if you've borrowed money from the bank manager, then you need to go and see them and say, I did spend your money on these tools and equipment, but now I think I might sell those and buy another piece of specialist equipment. And they should say, yeah, that's fine. They don't want to come to your bank, they don't want to come to your business and say, hold on a minute, we lent you money to buy dough making machines, and now you've bought an oven. So what happened? What's that story? So keep the people who invested in your business informed of movements. But definitely, once you've written a business plan and you stay in business for, let's say, 2 or 3 years, your business plan will look nothing like your business does in 2 or 3 years' time. I don't think. The viewers can comment and correct me on that, but pretty much like your baby doesn't look the same, is it? It's your baby, it's growing. So I was a beautiful baby and I'm no longer beautiful, so we've all developed somewhere along the line. So.
All right. If you're just joining us, you're watching Campfire series. This is episode 5. We're learning a lot from Martin tonight. But before we carry on, we'll quickly take a commercial break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. And welcome back. This is episode 5 of Campfire series. Tonight's topic is your business plan, your baby. So no one should write it for you. And Martin is here to guide us through or give us some tips on how to do the business planning. So Martin, please let's continue from where we left off.
Okay, so we left off at the financial plan. So I hope we're all thinking numbers, we're thinking Excel sheets. Probably then, even though we don't want you to have somebody else write your business plan, you could also sit with like a financial mentor, let's say, because mentorship is very important in any aspect of your business. But if there's somebody that's going to really help you unpack your expenses, it's also important, because you could think of something, or you might forget something that's quite important that you don't really realize.
Sorry, Martin, I just want to throw this in. I saw on social media, I was just scrolling through and I saw someone saying, is there paid mentorship and is there free mentorship, or what is like in terms like in business?
That's a good question as well. There is paid mentorship where you could have certain companies, I don't know, maybe like PricewaterhouseCoopers or BDO Spencer. I hope I get something for advertising. Then they could probably give you business advice, business advisory services. That's like a sort of mentorship. But then if you're starting out, I wouldn't like that overhead. I wouldn't like to be paying people for advice. So unless it's professional advice, of course, then it might not be for free. But if you've got somebody that's
Hi guys, welcome to my first YouTube video for my 2-Minute Tuesday DIYs, and today I'm so excited. I brought this baby in the house. So it was a gift from my previous landlord. I pretty much forced him to give it to me, but today I figured let me bring him into the house, give him a little bit of TLC, get some hair on there. By hair I mean I'm gonna put a lovely plant in. As you guys all know, I'm all about naturals. What I'm gonna do today is I am going to give it a little bit of paint, and this paint I got it from Pupkewitz, and the guy was super cool to let me know that it's great for stone and it's got a really nice sheen finish. So that's what I'm gonna do, and once I give it a TLC, let it dry for a bit, and then put some hair in there and some sand in there, and of course finish it off with some white stones. Wish me luck, and stay tuned for the final look. I'm gonna share with you guys a couple of steps of how to do this. So step one, you wanna get this baby into the house. And trust me, he is heavy, like a real man he is. Second of all, you wanna clean it up, dust it off. I used my little scoop. I can't find it anywhere, but anyway, that one, that's the one that I use. So I used the scoop to just get the sand and the dust off. Before you wanna paint, you just wanna make sure that all of that is off. What I'm gonna do is, the paint is slightly thicker than it's supposed to be. You wanna stir your paint. Why? Because I don't know why, I just know you have to. Just pour a little bit in because you don't want to waste and stuff. And then I just added a little bit of water in there, and you want to just stir it up. Just when you're making pop and you sort of ran out of maize and you just figured you just stop halfway. Always have also a plastic at the bottom to make sure you don't mess around, otherwise you have to clean up a lot. And we don't want that either. Make sure you just get something, you just don't mess. All right, guys, as you can see, I'm done painting him. The paint came out perfectly, just as I hoped. And look at his hairstyle, and the hairdo looks absolutely amazing. I look forward to seeing you guys with my next Tuesday Tips video. I'll show you a little bit on how to create storage solution for your bathrooms. Until next time, mwah.
Hello and welcome back. We do apologize for the technical difficulties. By the way, we were busy erecting our tent, so we are now back. We're talking about how to write your business plan and why it should be your baby and no one should write it for you. We are joined by Martin Wilkinson, and he's the one sharing with us, or really giving us tips and guidance on how to start to write our business plans. So Martin, before we got that technical glitch, I just wanted to take you back to the points of we were talking about breakaway or break-even analysis.
Yes.
Could you maybe just repeat the other point?
Okay.
Saying?
Yeah, we were talking about our fixed costs and our variable costs. Our fixed costs stay the same, like the rent of this building will stay the same, however busy you are with your production. But your variable costs are going to increase as you produce more soap, as you make more cakes, as you build more houses. You'll have to buy more materials, and that's a variable cost. So then once you've calculated all of those, and you might get some help to do that because there's some hidden costs you might not think about. Not hidden, but you just couldn't imagine what they might be. So then you can do a break-even analysis, and even though we could devote a whole program to that, I can just say go and research it. There's lots of examples, but essentially it's a graph that helps you to lay down your fixed costs, your variable costs, and it tells you where you're going to start making some money. Basically, you need to start making money as soon as possible, but that's not usually the case.
That's not usually the case.
So how many units do you need to sell? How many guests do you need to have in your guest house before you start to cover your costs and your fixed costs immediately? And then what sort of costs do you incur as you have more guests? So more guests eat more breakfast, so you need to buy more cornflakes, and those are your variable costs. So guys, when you're writing your business plan, dig into all of that aspect. And the finance person, or whether it's a bank manager, whether it's a donor, whether it's your your parents or whoever, they're going to look at, have you thought about the money? Have you thought about what you're going to need? And that's what brings us then to our 8th point, which is, do you need funding? How are you going to fund yourself?
Yeah.
Because I made the mistake, and that's why I'm here, not just to be some sort of fundi on how to write the business plan, but what mistakes did I make as well?
Yes,
so
that's very important. Please share with us. We'd really love to learn from you.
From our tent business, welding business, we also used to make cement garden slabs and things. They all required some sort of investment. So the tents especially, I bought 3 of different sizes. I called them after my in-laws. So that was Pandareni, Tuafeni and Magano was the biggest one, because he's my biggest brother-in-law. And basically I used my own money. And as those tents got busier and busier, the middle one, Tuafeni, was the one that got rented the most often. So I bought more of those, and we had 7, 8 of those in the end, or as I sold the business on. And basically I used profits from the business and my own money to buy them. And now looking back, I wish I'd taken a loan, because a loan disciplines you. It not only allows you to keep some of your savings in the bank for the rainy day and emergencies and whatever happens in your family, but it also disciplines you to start reviewing your business plan, reviewing your costing, reviewing your expenses, because you have to make that loan payment every month. So I would say you could start with some of your own funding. You could borrow from family and friends if you don't mind losing them if everything goes wrong. But at the end of the day, get to a point where you are going to borrow some money. And you also need to start developing a credit score before you even are going to be able to buy some money. So before the break, we just started talking about even if you don't need an overdraft facility from the bank, you've opened a business account anyway, you keep your business money separate from your private money, and you have a business account that you deposit all of your income into. And every now and then you run out of money for your expenses and you need to take an overdraft. Well, hopefully before that you've tried or you've applied for an overdraft facility from the bank, and they've given you, let's say, $10,000 that they allow you to go overdrawn with. And even if you needed that facility or not, you can keep paying it back, or you can just pay it back. And every time you access the facility and then you put money back in and you're back to a positive balance in your account, the computer will give you a tick. Maybe the bank manager will even give you a tick, but mostly the computer will register your credit score that you've become a more reliable client. So when you do go for the bigger loan, they can already see that you're sensible about how you use your money. And you will always, I guarantee you will always use your overdraft. Don't start living on it, but you will always use an overdraft facility.
That's great.
So that was basically number 8 was, and I'm still wondering if I'm making myself clear, because I'm still wondering whether it's my honest opinion that do I use all of my savings and then go for a loan, or do I keep something in reserve? And I think I'd have to say I would always now keep something in reserve and go and use somebody else's money. And that was that part. And then just in my notes here I said make sure all of your calculations are shown. You remember in school every teacher used to write, show your working. We all remember that, I think. So the bank manager is no different, or the donor or whoever. Show your working. How did you get to this cost? How did you get to this price? How did you unpack the value of your service and what you're going to charge? Because the transparency is very important. You don't need to just be plugging numbers here and there and imagine that that's understandable. So show your working.
Right, show your work. All right. Just before we move on to the next point, I just want to tell you about Startup Namibia. Startup Namibia is here to improve the conditions and the formation of startups in Namibia. Startup Namibia is a project joint. It's a project joined by the Namibian and German governments. It's for the cooperation of. I beg your pardon. It's a startup. Namibia is a project joined by the Namibian German government, technical cooperation and sustainable economic development. It's funded by the German government and implemented by the GIZ. We are situated in the Bokamoso Incubation Center here in Katutura, where we are broadcasting live. So we also have outreach, regional outreach programs that we're going to roll out soon as well. So if you are not in Windhoek, don't worry, we are coming to you. So stay put. You can keep engaging us on our social media platforms, and if you have questions, you can also send them to our email address, which is hello@startupname.org. You can also log on to our website, which is www.startupname.org, and maybe you wanna know more what we are doing, our activities. You can write on our website. You can go on the top right corner. You'll find the newsletter. Go there and subscribe. You get to know more on what Startup Namibia is really all about. Back to the interview, Martin. I just want to I see we want to share with us. Please share with us more ways to grow your baby, which is the business plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just ran through 1 to 8 points of those are now your headings, and like we said, if you Google and research, you'll find different sorts of formats for business plans, and you might find more headings as well. But those are the key ones. We only have an hour. Even with technical problems, we only have an hour to discuss.
It's true.
So those are the key ones that basically will convince yourself and anybody else who wants to invest in you that you've thought about your business. Now I wanted to give you some nuggets of wisdom, the mistakes I made, some things that went wrong, some philosophy, let's say. Not saying I'm right all the time, and I know some of our viewers will say, what is he talking about? But let's just run through, I think, what's important for your soul, let's say, to stay invested in the business, and hopefully that helps you to succeed as well. So the first one, and we just mentioned a bit, who do you listen to? In terms of mentors, do you sit in your local pub and tell people that you've got this idea for a business and expect to get some solid advice back? I would say no, because some of your friends don't want you to put yourself at risk, and they say, it's a good idea, but what if you lose everything? So they might deter you. Some of them might not want you to succeed because they like you to be on the same level.
Or even below.
And also, to be a bit controversial maybe, when I was starting the tent business in Rundu, I said to one of the local school principals there, do you think the local community will support me? I'm white, I'm foreign, I'm starting a business, do you think they'll come? And he said, they'll come more. They'll come more to you because our people don't support each other. And I hear that now, it's 20 odd years later, I still hear it that in Namibia we don't support each other. So please get into a frame of, if you're running a business and you're a consumer of somebody else's business, let's give them all our support. That helps our economy cycle around.
That's very important and true as
well. The wisdom, I said in my notes, listen to wisdom, not opinions. If somebody has been there already and is giving you their advice because they've been there, that's good advice.
Good advice,
But if they're saying, you know what, I don't think, Sunlight soap is fine for me, why should I buy your soap? It's not, who cares about what they think, basically. But if somebody has been there, then listen to them.
That's true.
My other point is, and I've seen it a lot, how small businesses don't really look after their employees. They might have them registered for Social Security, but then every now and then they don't pay them for maybe a month. They have to go home with no salary, but they come back next month, or they always come back and work for you because that's their only option.
It's true.
Look after your employees, people. If you can't pay yourself, or you can't pay them, go to the bank, get that overdraft that I was talking about, and always look after your employees. When you need them on Sunday, when you need them to wake up early for a certain job, when you're rushed, you'll need them to be there. So don't let them down. And I often hear small contractors saying, I couldn't pay my workers this month. Well, there's no excuse. If you can't pay your workers that month, then you might as well let them go and look for other employment, or you go to the bank and say, I need this help. Things are getting better, but keep your paydays regular.
Okay. Sorry. Now I just want to do you think, because I know there are people, especially now, there might be people in that situation. Do you really think the bank? I'm the businessman and I have employees. And I want to now. I'm unable to pay my employees because there's really just not enough cash flow. But do you think the banks will be able to listen to me in that regard?
Hopefully yes, because you've got your business plan, you've got your forecasts, you've got a reason why you've spent your money, because you spent it all on that new bread oven or whatever. So cash flow is always going to be a little bit up and down, especially at the beginning. And even halfway through a business's life, you are going to have cash flow issues. So like I said before, that's why your credit score is important.
It's important.
Because when you've run out of actual cash that you're going to pay your workers with, your bank manager can say, Absai, it's not working, is it? You need to think about winding up this business. Or he can say, yeah, but you were in this situation last year, you bounced back from it, let's continue with your support.
Excellent.
And they make money out of lending you money. It's not charity, so they're looking for those targets as well. So I don't want to paint a rosy picture. If you can't pay your workers for 3 months in a row and the bank says no, then you're done, isn't it? You're basically closing up shop.
Wow, sad part, but it happens. So
there's no way of making it romantic. Sooner or later you might decide that even though this business has been your baby for so long, it isn't viable anymore. And it's a very important decision to make, that you need to close down that business. Now, I don't want to sound cruel to the baby, because everyone at home is thinking of this bouncing baby. Let's forget about the bouncing baby for the moment and understand that the business is no longer viable. You need to close it, clear the decks and move on. And it's sorry Absai, it's very easy for small business people to be so in love with their business that they can't let it go. And it's one of the main disciplines that you should have, is to know when to close.
Great. That's very good to know as well. So
it's a bit depressing actually, but it's the reality.
But that's the reality.
The other points, I don't know how much time we have, but we can just go through. Always pay your suppliers. There are lots of people that run up credit issues with their, let's say their Pukovitzes or Build It or whatever, and then they're in trouble, and you basically get a bad reputation from that. And when Absai and I have met before, I told him that your first million is your reputation. That's how much it's worth. It's worth $1 million, your reputation. If you can, in the troubling times, extend your credit with Pukovitz, if you can take away your car from the garage without paying it because they trust you, then that's the lubrication in your machine. That's going to keep your business running, is your reputation. So don't annoy all of the suppliers around the country or even in your town, and you cross over the street when you see the Pukovitz manager coming towards you.
So
don't try and by all means pay your suppliers and keep everybody happy, because sooner or later you'll need them more than they need you.
All right.
Another one is at the beginning you might not pay yourself a salary. You're simply not making enough, but always write yourself a salary slip, a pay slip. Make sure you record what you should have been paying yourself, because you've invested hours, you've invested your own time, but you're not taking anything out of the business, but have a record that you've paid yourself something over the period, because when you get involved with the tax story and whatever, you'll need to have those solid records.
Oh wow, okay, that's good to know.
Because your payslip is a cost of doing business. So you show a profit of $50,000 and you don't have any payslips, then that $50,000 is going to be taxed. But if you paid yourself $50,000 on your payslips, then there's no tax to pay, is there? It's not tax dodging, it's tax avoidance, and that's legal, okay?
Good to know. Please take note.
Then this was a good one. When Absai and I were talking a couple of days ago, we kind of argued about whether you price for class or not. Absai walks into my business and he's wearing a nice suit, and I saw him park his Mercedes, and suddenly I start putting my prices up. So something that I'm going to charge everybody else $20, I'm now charging Absai $30 because I think he's rich. Don't do it. It's just totally wrong.
Yeah.
You've priced your product, you've custom priced your product, you know your overheads, you know what you want to make. Yeah. So clearly you're not going to charge somebody who you think is rich. Absai, anyway, he's overdrawn, and his Mercedes is going to get repossessed tomorrow.
It's true.
So why are you overcharging the dude?
Yeah, no, it's really important, because I've seen it in the market. Or you go to a shop and ask for something, and it's like, why do you want us to give you discount if you are driving an Audi? But I mean, it's not. That's not how the pricing is supposed to be. Charge me what you have on your price list, not how I look like.
Exactly. No, it's good. Your customer's face it's irrelevant. The fact that there's a body in front of you going to buy something. Yeah. Just keep all your numbers rational. Don't start putting your emotions into how you're going to be selling your products.
Well, good to learn.
This is a good one as well. I guess I think they're all good. Don't bully your debtors. If somebody owes you money, remind them often and politely and consistently. But don't get into fights. Don't call them a thief, because otherwise then they'll insult you. You insult them. And you've forgotten about the debt, and now it's like between you and me. We're having a fight.
The relationship is broken.
If somebody owes you money, just keep reminding them. And sometimes I didn't even used to mention the money. I just phoned them up and said, "How is our business looking? How is our story today?" Something, because they know exactly. They know exactly that you're looking for your $200 or whatever.
Oh, good.
So keep even your people who owe you money. They might be having their hard times as well, but you keep friendly with them. And you didn't have a breakup with them, you didn't argue. Now when their fortunes become better, they're going to come back to you. Yeah. But if we fell out over $200, you're not maybe coming back to me, you'll go to my competitor. So keep it respectful and don't be insulting your debtors, no. I nearly said another good one.
Yes, please. Yes, please share with us.
Another good one. Is try and be around. There are so many small businesses in Namibia where you don't even know who's the owner. There are 2 or 3 employees running backwards and forwards, and you want to give them advice, but there's no point giving them advice because they're not in control. The face of the business that stands there, whether it's in hospitality, whether it's in manufacturing, whether it's some product or service, try and be the go-to person that's running it. Until maybe you want to diversify and you hire a manager. So everybody knows Martin at Intense in Namibia, in Rundu. Now they know Mr. Hamatenya, who's currently the owner. But that's the face. You should be there. And if you want to diversify, then hire somebody who's going to be the face now. But absent owners probably aren't expanding. Now that's for your discussion.
While we are still at that point, let's say I know there's a saying that say start your business, but don't quit your day job. I want to now understand, how do I if I have to be at my business, which is a photography business, I have to be there all the time to also engage with my client, but I have a day job, an 8 to 5 job. How do I balance that? Or can I just find someone that can stand in for me, and that will be the face of a business? Or how should I do it?
Oh, that's a good question, isn't it? Morally, I'd like to say don't be running your business on somebody else's time. So if you're working for GIZ, then you're not using the photocopier and you're doing quotations at work. If you can separate the 2 activities without costing your employer time and money and materials, let's say, then you're being honest. Because sooner or later somebody will say, Absai is running his business like at work.
And it's just unethical, I think.
Absolutely. And then goes your reputation.
We have a question from Dalia Mui. I call her Miss. She was my high school physical science teacher. She's asking, how do I start a business in the area which is already populated and dominated by the veterans? I think that's a very good question.
Dahlia is my colleague at NTA, and she's trying to trip me up. I know. She's laughing at the TV now.
Okay.
Dominated by the veterans. Yeah. Do you want to upset the veterans? I don't know. That sounds more of a question that you could answer, Absai. I think. Where's your niche? I would say, if they're satisfying a certain clientele, and you think they're not satisfying somebody else, then you focus on what they're not doing. And if they think that you are is veterans the key issue? They're older than you.
Maybe people that already have been, or the people that already know. So I think I'll feel intimidated doing a business I want to give it an example. Like in a business that already has successful businesses, no struggling business really, but I think to start there you feel intimidated. So how can I then find a way through? Are you so easily intimidated? If your business is healthy really, and you're there, your business is healthy, you're there, they know your brand, you've created a brand, and then Dahlia comes along and opens up a shop next door. Are you intimidated by that? That's your own problem, I reckon. Okay. So welcome Dahlia into the sector. Even give her advice, because you've got your customers. If they start drifting to her, then you start to pull your socks up and lift your game, isn't it? Because she's obviously offering something that you are not. If she's offering cheaper prices, then just count the days until she closes, because you've costed and priced. Yeah, but that's healthy business. I mean, healthy competition. But if she's undercutting you, then she won't last very long. It's competition, but a healthy one, of course, not toxic. But that's where all the calculations are so important, because you scratch your head, how is she doing? How is this competitor getting more customers than me? That's maybe the angle where you're improving. And also, it's a bit of a contradiction, but you're always supporting your sector. Both of you are making bricks. It's true. But you run out of cement and you've got an order. Do I think, now Absai is suffering, or do I lend you the cement? You need to grow your sector, and you need to grow the quality of your sector. So that's why you have banking associations, you have manufacturers associations. Like we mentioned earlier, we have the hospitality association. You don't have hotels fighting each other all the time and trying to drag each other down. They're trying to lift each other up. That's good for business. I mean, fighting really not good for business. Yes. Be a lover, not a fighter. Exactly. So go on to the next one before I say anything else. Let's move on to... okay, I put here, don't turn your phone off when you've just started your business. Sleep with the phone at a safe distance from your bed, so you don't get brain cancer or whatever, but don't turn it off. Some people will phone you at funny times, because they just realize that you exist and they want that product. Even my adverts in Rundu, I used to say book early, because obviously if you're planning your wedding in December, you don't want to book the tent on the 1st of December. You need to book it in September. But then people used to phone me at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'd say, why are you phoning? And they said, because it says book early. Wow, that's a nice anyway. Okay, that's a nice one. But satisfy your customer, be available all of the time for your customer. Don't see it ringing and go, this guy, he'll call me later. If he's got the money in his hand, pick up his call. And I think we touched it already. I've got support your competitors. So Dahlia, we're still going to support you. Grow your market and your sector is what I wrote. So we're going to nurture you, Dahlia, even though we are veterans. I'm smiling at the comment she made now. She's proud of you, Absai. Thank you. So she was a good teacher, Nick? Yes, she was. Tough one. And then my last point here is, please don't do corruption. We've had enough of it, isn't it? When we said that your reputation is your $1 million, if your reputation gets destroyed by some corrupt activity, then you're over. It's true.
I even have a letter from one of the permanent secretaries. Years and years ago, we rented tents to a film production company, and there was a lot of corruption around that activity. And I rented tents and tables and chairs. They used them all over Katima and the north, and they actually paid me $15,000 too much. And I thought then that it was fishy, and that they would come for that money later as a kind of like, we paid you too much, but now we want it back. But it's going in the, it's not going back into the fund wherever, it's going into somebody's pocket.
Someone's pocket.
So I contacted the ministry, and I said, I've been paid too much. How do I pay it back? And how do I know that the account you're going to give me is genuine? So they sent me a number of steps, and I paid it back. And I've still got the letter to this day from the permanent secretary saying, thank you for your honesty.
Wow.
And that means a lot more.
That means, yes, and more business for you as well, because you're being honest.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It means a lot more than Paulus Noah coming knocking at your door, isn't it?
It's true.
With your tent rot stories.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so we're running out of time. Just maybe at the end here, what are your any final points that you would like to share with the viewers?
I think it's stay focused, keep your eyes open. If you haven't thought of a business opportunity yet, just keep your eyes open, keep looking everywhere for those opportunities. And basically your brain is working more often than you think it is. When you're asleep, I remember Mercy also waking up in the night and writing down her ideas. A lot of ideas come to all of us when we are sort of in a kind of just about to wake up or just about to fall asleep. So keep that notebook by your bed. Or even have a little tape recorder, because you might not want to put on your light. As soon as I turn my light on, the idea disappears. So have a little tape recorder by your bed and record it without the light on, without disturbing anybody. Keep writing down those ideas, and you will find that your brain starts connecting neurons without you even thinking about it, and then you get that ping light bulb moment, and that's when you've started to develop that concept. That idea comes along.
All right.
But I could talk all night about that. So just
unfortunately, our director is getting angry at us now, so we have to wrap up. But unfortunately, that's all we had for you tonight. That's all we had for you tonight. I'm sure you have learned a lot. You've picked up very important points. If you want Martin's points or presentation, please send us a private message or an email at hello@startupnam.org, and we will send you the slide, just so you can also build from there. We are here to help, and we keep it that way. Thank you for tuning in. Join us again next time, and good night.